Picture this. Every time you board a commercial flight, there's a 76% chance you're stepping into an aircraft built by just two companies. For decades, Boeing and Airbus have controlled the skies, locked in an intense rivalry that shapes how millions of us travel. But here's what's fascinating. The European newcomer that started 56 years behind is now leading the race, holding a commanding position with a backlog of 8,695 aircraft compared to Boeing's 6,609 as of late 2025. This isn't just about building planes. It's about innovation, strategy, and resilience in one of the world's most competitive industries. Today on Minecrafted, we're diving deep into how Airbus transformed from an underdog into the world's largest aircraft manufacturer, and whether they can maintain their throne. Before we take off on this journey, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss our explorations of the world's most captivating business battles. The European Challenge, birth of a competitor. When Boeing dominated the 1960s with revolutionary aircraft like the 737 and the massive 747, European aerospace companies realized they couldn't compete alone. Their solution was bold: merge their national champions into one unified force. This was not an overnight creation, but rather a strategic pooling of resources from companies that had been building aircraft since the World Wars. The result was Airbus, a collaboration that would reshape the industry forever. The Europeans entered the market with a game-changing proposition. While all wide-body aircraft at the time required 3 or 4 engines, Airbus introduced the A300 in 1972 with just 2 engines. Airlines immediately recognized the potential: lower maintenance costs, similar performance, and better economics. Though initially slow to gain traction with production rates of only 1 or 2 planes monthly, this twin-engine innovation planted the seeds for future success. The concept seemed risky, but it proved that Airbus wasn't afraid to challenge conventional wisdom. The workhorse revolution. A 320 changes everything. The 1980s marked a turning point when airline deregulation in America created demand for cost-effective short-haul aircraft. Airbus needed a winner to compete with Boeing's beloved 737, which had dominated since 1967. Enter the A320 in 1984, a revolutionary aircraft that would become the cornerstone of Airbus's commercial success. This wasn't just another plane. It was a technological leap that positioned Airbus a generation ahead in flight control systems. The A320 introduced innovations that pilots had only seen in military jets: fly-by-wire technology and side-stick controls instead of traditional yokes. Its fuselage was slightly wider than the 737, allowing airlines to install more comfortable seating. Early accidents initially stalled public acceptance, but once confidence built, the A320 exceeded all expectations. By the 1990s, this single aircraft cracked open the American market and forced Boeing to take Airbus seriously as a formidable competitor, fundamentally changing the industry's competitive landscape. The market share battle. From underdog to equal through the 1990s and early 2000s, a fascinating pattern emerged. Boeing maintained roughly 50% market share, while consistently achieving higher profit margins, sometimes reaching 9% compared to Airbus's 4% or less. Boeing's strategy focused on profitability over pure volume, confident that their engineering excellence and brand loyalty would sustain their position. Meanwhile, Airbus steadily gained ground, particularly after McDonnell Douglas merged with Boeing in 1997, creating the duopoly we know today. Between 2003 and 2005, Airbus achieved the unthinkable. They took more orders and delivered more planes than Boeing. The A320 family proved instrumental in this success, becoming the weapon that helped Airbus capture market share from competitors. American Airlines, historically a Boeing-only customer, shocked the industry in 2011 by ordering hundreds of Airbus aircraft. This moment symbolized Airbus's complete legitimacy as Boeing's equal, transforming the competitive dynamics and proving that loyalty in aviation could be won through superior products and economics. Boeing's crisis, opening the door for Airbus. The 2010s should have been Boeing's decade of dominance, but instead became their darkest period. In 2018 and 2019, 2 devastating crashes of the 737 MAX 8 killed 346 people, exposing fatal flaws in the flight control system known as MCAS. The aircraft was grounded for nearly 2 years, production rates plummeted, and Boeing's reputation suffered irreparable damage. Then came the pandemic in 2020, delivering a record-breaking $12 billion loss to an already wounded company. Airbus certainly faced challenges too, recording losses exceeding $1 billion in both 2019 and 2020. However, they returned to profitability by 2021 and have delivered more aircraft annually than Boeing every year since 2019. The difference is striking. While Boeing hemorrhaged money and struggled with manufacturing issues on their 787 Dreamliner and delayed 777X, Airbus maintained steady operations. Then in 2024, a door plug blew off a 737 MAX 9 mid-flight, leading to another $11.8 billion annual loss and further production restrictions that continue hampering Boeing's recovery efforts. The hinge factor. A 321neo dominance here's where Airbus's strategic brilliance truly shines. In 2010, they announced the A320neo new engine option, promising 15% better fuel efficiency than previous generations. What started as a business case for 600 aircraft has exploded to over 19,000 orders. But the real game changer is the A321neo variant, which now represents 72% of Airbus's single-aisle backlog. This aircraft opened routes that airlines couldn't fly profitably before, connecting cities like New York to Los Angeles or East Coast to Europe with single-aisle economics. Boeing simply doesn't have a comparable answer. The 737 MAX 9 is smaller, and while the MAX 10 is larger, it lacks the A321neo's impressive 4,700 nautical mile range compared to 3,100 miles. More critically, the MAX 10 still awaits certification years behind schedule. Industry experts call the A321neo the hinge factor between the two manufacturers, giving Airbus an effective 60 to 65% market share in deliveries, orders, and backlog. This single aircraft represents Boeing's biggest strategic vulnerability and Airbus's greatest triumph. The road ahead, challenges and opportunities. Despite Airbus's commanding lead, the future remains uncertain for both manufacturers. The industry faces significant headwinds. Supply chain disruptions continue post-pandemic. Action recalls have affected Airbus deliveries, and the specter of tariffs threatens the globalized supply chain both companies depend upon. Airbus delivered 766 aircraft in 2024 compared to Boeing's 348, and has revised its 2025 target down to 790 planes from the original 820 due to persistent supply chain issues with engine suppliers like Pratt and Whitney and CFM. Both companies are developing next-generation aircraft incorporating new propulsion techniques, wing designs, and materials, though neither has committed to a launch timeline. The industry awaits true innovation, as both the 737 and A320 families are newer interpretations of decades-old designs. Meanwhile, new threats emerge. China's COMAC could potentially enter Western markets with government subsidies, and Brazil's Embraer possesses the engineering capability to disrupt the narrow-body segment. Through November 2025, Airbus delivered 657 aircraft, while Boeing delivered 537, showing Boeing's gradual recovery, but Airbus's continued dominance. The battle for the 2030s is just beginning, and while Airbus holds the advantage today, aviation history teaches us that dominance never lasts forever. The transformation of Airbus from a small European consortium to the world's largest aircraft manufacturer represents one of the most remarkable business success stories of our time. Starting with just a dozen employees in a small U.S. office in 1978, they now operate manufacturing facilities across Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida, with over 40 locations nationwide. Their patient strategy of technological innovation, strategic manufacturing placement, and relentless focus on customer needs paid off spectacularly. The A321neo alone demonstrates how a single, well-designed product can reshape an entire industry. Yet this story is far from over. Boeing, despite its struggles, remains a formidable competitor with a new leadership team and the resources to mount a comeback. The aviation industry thrives on innovation and disruption, and today's winner can quickly become tomorrow's cautionary tale. As we've seen, entropy eventually catches every dominant player. The question isn't whether something will change, but when and how. Thank you for joining us on Mindcrafted today. If you found this story fascinating, please hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most compelling business battles, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you flown on an Airbus or Boeing recently? Which manufacturer do you think will lead the next decade? We'd love to hear your perspective.